Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's just got a little pop-up window annoying me here. It's the 1st of July 2024 and the time is 10:56 a.m. Oh my goddess, we're already into the 7th month. That means there's 5 months left of this year, am I right? Oh, I've got rapid aging with this year flying past so fast. Oh well, allegedly good things are supposed to happen for me at 60, so we'll remain circumspect about that, shall we? And it's in the lap of the gods as always, and seeing is believing, and actions speak more loudly than words, by the way. But you have to laugh. Poor Mama T. It's like, but this year has gone astonishingly. I've got now cowlicks. My hair's doing really weird things. But anyway, it's going astonishingly fast. And I don't think I'm the only one that's noticed these time slips and anomalies and the speeding up of time, especially those of us over 50. We're like, where'd that go? But anyway, I guess I've been busier than usual this year with making my daily vlogs from my journal entries and, dancing and spending as much time as I can with Charlie and just, making jewellery occasionally, although I sort of put that on the back burner for a couple of months. But I'm buying more equipment. I've ordered a ultrasound cleaning machine because I've got the opportunity to put my jewellery in a crystal shop. So I wanted to get the cleaning machine thingy, because it's just quicker to clean bulk things, in the machine in one go, rather than polish everything and then individually scrub it with, dishwashing liquid and, and a toothbrush. You can do it that way. I've done it that way, at a pinch, but arthritic hands, and I'm just going to have to industrialize and streamline my silversmithing if I'm going to start displaying things in a shop. I want it to be professional. I want it to be all lovely and polished, nice, and I want it to sell. Please God, let it sell. Wouldn't it be lovely if I could get a constant flow of sales, not expecting to make a lot, but just enough to just motivate me to keep buying more tools and equipment and keep developing my skills and get better and better at it, and then maybe one day turn it into a little, business and get off the fucking disability pension so I don't feel like such a loser all the time, especially when, I have wonderful men in my life and looking at me with great fondness and affection, and all I can think is I've got nothing to bring to this relationship. It's terrifying. And I suppose, if a man loves you, he doesn't care about that. My psychiatrist always said that. He said, you bring plenty to any relationship, Tanya. I said, what's that? He said, you bring love. But that's very idealistic and romantic of my psychiatrist, because in the real world, men need women that contribute to the finances and help pay the mortgage and help pay for food on the table. And they need independent, financially stable women, not end-state trauma survivors like me who've just been dancing like the Red Shoes story to my own oblivion for a decade and a half now, going nowhere. But look, I only started the silversmithing malarkey in January 2021, and we must remember we're only just scraped into the first day of July, so it's 3.5 years. So I'm like hyper-focused, like a horse, an undertaker's horse with blinders on. Mustang craze galloping along, with her blinders on, being very ambitious and hoping for, financial stability and independence on my own, under my own auspices, because I don't want to actually be dependent on a man financially, because, as I stated in a video yesterday, I worry about abuse dynamics and imbalance of power, and I'm a very powerful woman, but, you know, I've had men abuse me financially multitudes of times, including my husband. So it's like, I feel sick to think about it, and I don't want to spiral under and live in that consciousness. I want to be in abundance and or prosperity consciousness. I want to feel successful, even if it's only for silly, ridiculous little things like making a piece of jewelry or dancing my wild dance with my beautiful bands, or, you know, creating my videos or writing my ramblings. I want to feel, you know, that I'm wanted and needed, and that I have purpose, and that I'm a success in my own right, even in only my very small ways. And I want the man I love to look at me and think of me as a woman of great worth, not just some beaten down, broken down old fucking draft horse mare stomping around the streets of Brisbane at 3 a.m. looking for batteries for my breathalyzer. But, you know, anyway, that was funny. That was too funny. But anyway, I shouldn't focus on any of that, because I need to know that I'm loved in return, and that I'm wanted and chosen, and otherwise it's just going to be a fucking psychosexual drama and turn into ugliness, and that I don't want. I don't want any more ugliness, people of Earth. Just want happiness and contentment with someone that adores and values and cherishes me. And how am I going to achieve that? You can't do anything about other people's intentions towards you, and if you don't know what they are, you don't know what they are, and you're not in a position to ask, since the other person's not available. So that's the wetting and the whelping and the grinding stone that I will have to sharpen my wit and hone my love-making abilities to, being aware that I'm just going to be grinding away at nothingness otherwise. And I've done that in the past, ground myself down to nothingness over a man that was insincere and cruel. So this man's not insincere, nor is he cruel, and I know that because I took a little bit of time to remove myself from people that were crowding me in on Friday, and I just watched where the eyes went. And so I can see that I am loved as a friend, you know, as a dear friend. I know I am loved. I know that much. And and that he worries about my safety in that club, because I did ask for protection when I started going there, because there was some weirdness, and I'd had threats of being stabbed just prior to that. So he's being a true friend and loyal and making sure I'm safe, and I'm so grateful and appreciative of that. So I mustn't let things run away with me and think there's some great romantic potentiates there. I'm just being silly. But who can blame me? I haven't had a man be protective and kind and supportive of me before. You know, I mean, yes, my friends, Jared and, you know, my psychiatrist, but I've never had anything like this before, where an entire club watches over me and, you know, allows me to be me and lets me dance my wild dance, and encourages and motivates and cheers me on at times. I've never had that before, ever in my life. So I'm so humbled and grateful for that. And yeah, if my love life blooms into a literally a splendiferous thing, and both of us are supported by our friends and family and business associates and tribe or community, then I will know for sure it is real and authentic and worth working towards and aspiring to. But I guess I'm not used to being loved that deeply by anyone except Charlie, and before that my dog and my cats. A man who loves you as much as unconditionally as your pets do, like, that's a wow factor for me, babies. Anyway, Mama T, sweet little Mama T, has to get on with her vlogs today. She has to get grounded in reality and carry on with my video log. But anyway, much love to my beloved one. I don't think he watches my videos, and if he does, he'd be like, Tanya, why do you do that? Why do you question and draw circles around everything like a paint your wagon, you know? How do they, you know, they do call it circling the wagons around things, protecting that space. I'm protecting my heart space, but I'm also protecting your heart space, because I don't want to cause you stress or bring you any harm or hurt either. It's a difficult dance when you're falling in love with people. It's like making sure that no one gets hurt, am I right? Making sure that both parties have each other's backs and are sincere, even if not talking about necessarily love affairs, I'm talking about even deep friendships, making sure that there's equality and flow and sweetness and generosity and kindness flowing both ways. So yes, I'm circling my wagons. It's probably not a very good analogy for a woman who calls herself Mustang Quay in the Ojibwa language. The Native Americans was not a good sign when those wagons circled, am I right? So it's just an expression. I don't mean to apply any racist kind of theme to it, but I've just realised it sounds fucking racist. But anyway, so how else can I describe that? I'm drawing circles or boundaries around what I know to be true, and where there's little gaps of insecurity or doubts and fears, I'm shoring them up, because I want my beautiful friend to know that he needs have no doubts or fears where I'm concerned. Yes, men chat me up in pubs and clubs because that's what men do, you know. I'm not really interested. I can't have this man that I love because he's not available, but I'm not going to be out there flirting and seducing men and taking them home right in front of your face, like how Dave used to treat me when I was in love with him 10 years ago, shoving every fucking floozy in my face and being degrading. I am not that person. And I'm not even looking for anyone, you know. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see, you know, if my heart is received, and if not, I will move on and find someone, but it won't be done in a sordid, trashy way, right up in your right nostril. I would never do that to you. I love you too much. You're my friend. My friends are prioritised, actually, most of the time, you know. if I have a lover again, I'll be prioritising him and loyal to him in the sense that he'll be my intimate partner. But I mean, look, I've done that dance. When I was in my relationship with Courtney 14 years ago, or ended 14 years ago, just after my mother's death, because he chose to kick me when I was already down, because he's a dog. But it is that. I knew he was a dog before that happened, so I wasn't overly fazed, really. It was just insulting to do that to me, but, you know. But he prioritised all his friends over me, and I came last after everything, including his cars. So that was why that relationship, after 5 years, was already doomed, by the way. You know. But if I'm prioritising my friends over my lover, it's because my lover's not treating me right, and I'm going to my friends as a support network or a safe landing, you know. And there is that. But I have great capacity to love all my friends and my lover when I take a lover. There's room for everyone, and there's no need for any fears or insecurities because I'm loyal to all of them at the same time, you know. I had a friend I was talking about yesterday, Gail and Pedro. She was very toxic, and she would interfere in my relationship with Courtney, who ironically she set me up with, you know, initially, and then denied it. Fucking psychopath she was. And then she would be carrying things backwards and forwards to Pedro, who was a friend of Courtney's too. And then they would have me spinning on a fucking dime like a bloody ballerina in a music box, you know, making all these fucking stories up about me, none of which were true, by the way. And I'd be like watching it like a pinball game, watching it all bounce, ding, 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 because they assumed, because I was very, very munted down by heavy psych meds in those days, they assumed that I was too doped out of my mind on psych meds to watch what was going on. Big mistake to ever fuck with the Tanya or underestimate my intelligence, by the way. Even though in those days I was a drooling, shuffling automaton and I was barely coherent, I just thought I'll just sit back and watch who's doing what so I can identify who all the bit players are, and then I'm going to streamline and cut them all out of my life, which ultimately I had to cut them all out of my life. Every single motherfucking one. I mean, Pedro didn't do me any harm, really. He had his own issues going on, and he was manipulated by Gail, you know, 'cause she was a fucking psychopath. But, you know, there was all of that going on, and I just removed myself from the situation and got on with my life. A year after cutting Gail out of my life, which was February 2015. So early June 2016, I went off all my psych meds. I thought, I'm not surrounded by arseholes anymore. I don't need to be doled out of my senses to cope with all the arseholes that were, of which they were legion, by the way. So I just have to reclaim my mind, reclaim my life, and fine-tune it, keep my circle very, very, very small, which I have done since then. 8 years clean and clear of psychiatric medications, which did nothing to heal my body, mind, or spirit, by the way. In fact, created more health issues for me. So here we are, 8 years later, and I have lovely friends who adore me and a good doctor who adores me in his professional capacity, nothing weird, people. And I have peace and serenity in my life, and I'm even considering opening up to a beautiful love relationship. For the first time in 10 years, I'm really, really, really looking at what's going on and seeing what's real and what's not real, and getting a little bit confused at times, to be honest, because it is confusing in a way. And in the meantime, I'm still dancing and enjoying my life because I need to keep this body as fit as possible with my health issues. And if possible, I need to heal the sleep apnea by dropping a lot of weight. Says she who had the last 2 chocolate double Coke Tim Tams for breakfast this morning and a small bowl of rice pudding I made in the microwave. So, I'm not worried about the weight. I've noticed this man that's flowing all this love to me isn't all that worried about my weight either. But anyway, if he loves me as an older 59-year-old woman with CPTSD issues, I guess he'll love me if I trim right down and a slim and gorgeous again and still have CPTSD issues, and I'll still be older. I'll just be a fitter, slimmer version. Because real loves love you no matter what, by the way, in whatever form your body takes on, and the love just keeps growing between you, and you just accept each other the way you are and treat each other with kindness. Am I right? So we'll see what the future holds. Here's the title today of Even Date. Memories, 1st of July 2024. Truth, always the truth. Joy in my co-creative existence. Penny Puss smiling, pretending she doesn't know I'm there. I think Cats wrote the book on passive aggression. Best feline smirk ever. And I'd do anything to see that feline smirk again. My gorgeous little girl. Such a beautiful soulmate she was, and I miss her so much, and I hope I get to see all my pets again when I re-enter the next dimension one day. That will be one hell of a homecoming. But in the meantime, I'm here on planet Earth, and I've got this body and this mind and this soul and this spirit. So I've outlived my beautiful ones, and I'll have to somehow, keep living and keep loving and keep being and keep wresting enjoyment out of every single day. And you know what? It's close. It's really close. It's just an intuition I have. I hope I'm right and I'm not deluding myself, but I think it's close now. That someone does want me, and it is going to happen one day. I don't know where I get that idea from. Nothing's been spoken verbally, but I just get the feeling. They've seen my true heart and my spirit, and they've seen my wild and crazy ways over many years, like 13, 14 years. I started dancing at the casino round about 2011. So it's 13 years there, and I used to dance prior to that. I used to go with Gail to the Greenbank RSL, dance for all the tribute bands. So unbeknownst to me, I was probably dancing in front of this person occasionally back in those days too, and completely had no idea that, he was going to one day be a true friend to me. And it's taken many, many years, and I was distracted for years with that other Gormless fucking twat of the dreadlocks, that dreadlocked nitwit boy wonder we're still wondering about. Oh, but Jesus. But anyway, that was some kind of, I don't know what that was, vampiric, spiritual fucking attack that went on for too long. Well, I won't be having any more vampiric, spiritual binds. You love me, you feed me energy, I feed you energy back, but as equals, none of this one up, one down, condescension, disrespect, dishonour. If I get a sniff of that, Mama T will be moving on, big boys. And he even mentioned to me a few months ago, I love how you consistently keep moving on when things turn toxic, Tanya, meaning in the dance spaces, the prior dance space that was rancid for 12 years, but I fought through it because had my own little kind of space I'd created, my little spot there, and I had friends around me, so I fought through all that toxicity. To what end? To get kicked when I'm down, when my dog died. Don't ever kick me when I'm down, by the way. You know, that's another example of when something really close to me died and some entity, in this case, a dance space at the casino, decided to kick me when I was down. You motherfuckers. Have you no idea who you're dealing with? You kick me when I'm down. Be very, very fucking afraid when I rise up again. Well, I have risen up. I've risen up. I've danced in the Brooklyn Standard now since the 25th of August 2023 last year, regularly, every week, most weeks, on a Friday. I danced there before over the years, but only like very occasionally, you know, when I wanted a break from the casino or someone invited me over there or whatever. But, you know, came up in one of my memories actually. I danced there in 2021. So I had been there before, but yeah, it was it's been wonderful to be included and treated as if I'm a much valued part of that club, and be loved. You know, the staff even last Friday when I went, this last Friday, oh, it's so good to see you, I've missed you so much and welcome back. And I was like, wait a minute, I only missed one Friday the week before because I didn't have the energy to dance 2 nights, and I danced at the Koala Tavern on Saturday. So I only missed 1 week, but the bar staff is so gorgeous to me. They're like, we missed you so much, welcome back. And I was like, oh, you know, so I know I'm loved. I know I'm loved in that space. And I know I'm quirky and weird and oddball and have my weird ways and functioning at times. And they love me even for that, you know. It's just, oh, it's so beautiful. So fuck you, Treasury Casino, for being elitist, judgmental, backstabbing, backbiting, ageist, disability discriminating. They got rid of both me and my Israeli friend Sigal because of our mental health issues, by the way, and because we're older, and very likely because we're Jewish too. Even though we were still dancing on Friday night in the Shabbat, they might not have been aware that we're Jewish. We are Jews. We are still Jews at heart. So yeah, there was a lot of that going on, and then they got rid of you know, I've heard that they've got rid of quite a lot of the former regulars aren't going there anymore. So it's all falling down around their ears like a house of cards, and that's what happens when you discriminate and malign people and decide that when you build your new casino, You only want the very young and the very wealthy and the very entitled and the very precious, you know, because I've got one thing to tell you, Treasury Casino. Youth is wasted on the youth. You need some of the older, wiser ones to be there to actually keep an eye and make sure everything runs smoothly, and that the younger ones have someone on the floor when security's not around to just be a little bit of a guiding light and a little bit of a protective force, by the way, which I voluntarily took on that role for the 12 years I was dancing there, by the way, quite a few times. I even had to take a woman that was, you know, jumped out of the car on the street outside the casino to the police, which I did not really want to do because I don't trust the police. Didn't think she'd be all that better off with them either, quite frankly. But it was, she was escaping a kidnapping, so it was a big enough crime that it needed to be reported to the police. So I don't know if that was another thing that they decided to sideline me, that I took on that role too, but in the moment, in the crisis, I was there, and that was what you have to do to protect young women in the night, by the way. You know, another gentleman walked with us to take her to the police. We held her arm in arm. So, you know, if that's what costs me my little spot, whatever, I don't care. I'd do it again, you know. I know that when I needed protection as a younger woman, I was left for dead many, many times. So I will never be that person. Anyway, we won't go and wallow in the dark, dark horrors of the past unless it comes up in my readings today. I haven't done a preview. We will just carry on finishing off my vlogs. So we're in July, so we've got all of July, August, September, and then I think I started about the 12th of October last year. So July, August, September, we've got 3.5 months of me reading my journal entries to you, and then it'll all be completed and I'll have satisfaction and a measure of success, and then I'll be having to write new stories, won't I? Whole new stories, romantic love stories of the beautiful, awesome, affectionate, kind, sweet, reciprocated, you know, requited, adoring love affair, love partnership I'm going to be manifesting sometime in the future. That will be my story from then on. Oh, I guess, well, I'm giving myself a date, aren't I? I'm giving myself till October. Oh, I know, I can't put dates on these things. But anyway, you know what I mean. I'll be writing a new story, and it will be a beautiful story full of love and magic and delight and awe, and it'll get all our juices going, because sometimes I can write a little bit erotically, but if it's about me personally, you won't be hearing that, because discretion is a better part of valor, by the way, and I don't want my private, beautiful, gorgeous, erotic love life to be laid out in some sordid display. No. It will be, I may not even write about my own love life. I might just I might just become, oh, that's hilarious. I'll stop it now, Tanya. You've gone quite mad. But I was just about to say, I might even turn it into a modern day version of Victoria Holt or Barbara Cartland, and write sappy romances that just at the end, just at the climax, when you just worked yourself into a peak, just leave you hanging. And then the bedroom door closes and nothing happens. And I'm like, yeah, that's a mind fuck, isn't it? But anyway, I was watching a movie last night starring that very scrawny, undernourished, bandy-legged actress, the Australian one. What's her name? Oh, Jesus. She got to keep her accent in this movie last night that I was watching. She just said, I'm Australian, therefore got to speak in her own accent. Oh, come on. Help me out here. She's like, looks like a little bird, all pinched and undernourished. And, my psych wants me to lose 30 kilos. If I lose 30 kilos, I'm going to look up, well, not like her, because she looks like a bird at the best of times, all scrawny and lanky with the legs all kind of misshapen. Nicole Kidman. Yeah, nothing against you, Nicole. You're a fine actress, but oh my God, put on some weight for the love of God. Watching her make love to the male actor, I don't even know who he was like, all I was waiting for was the geriatric bones to just go snap, snap, snap. I just sat there watching it going schnup, schnup, schnuppy. When does this go bad? And then for like dramatic effect, just as he's about, lying on top of her, she just wraps one leg over him, and all I could think of was like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Anyway, I know I'm being a bitch. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be judgment of other people's bodies, but this is Hollywood. They put cadavers out on, like geriatric cadavers like me. I'm bordering being geriatric, I guess, in a few years' time. But they put these walking corpses that are all sucked out of every piece of goodness out of their faces, and they're just like corpses with a wig on, and then they're supposed to be all sexy and making mad passionate love, and all I could think of was like, all those bones. So I'm a little bit frightened about this idea of me losing 30 kilos, because if I lose 30 kilos, that would put me at 59 kilos, which they wanted me at one time to get down to 60 kilos. I said to, that was my crazy fucked up GP, by the way. I said to her, if you make me get down to 60 kilos, I'll just look like a walking biafran. I don't want to walk around like I need a good feed and a good meal, looking angry and hungry and gaunt and vapid and evacuated out of my own soul. So here's the thing, people of Earth. I've decided I do need to lose quite a lot of weight to get rid of the sleep apnea, but I reckon I'll drop, maybe, if I can do it, because I've maintained this weight for many years now. I'll drop maybe down to like maybe 69, 70 kilos, and even then, Jesus, even then I'll be a bit on the scrawny side. However, I've got better legs than Nicole Kidman. My legs, are straight and have curves, and even when I used to be skinny as a child, they still had kind of a nice shape to them. So Nicole Kidman might be a famous, movie star and have squillions of dollars, but she's never going to do anything about those weird fucking X legs, is she? I'm being mean. I'm not wanting to be mean to you, Nicole Kidman. No, not really. But man, as an older woman, if you want to look like a sex symbol, you, honey, have to gain at least 10 kilos. It just wasn't believable, I'm just looking at it going, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is that? But this is, Hollywood wants us women to all look like androgynous, starved people that just look like we just stepped out of a concentration camp, starved, emaciated, gaunt, hollowed out. And of course, as we age, we get a little bit more grey in the face too. Well, I noticed I've gone a little bit more grey probably from sleep apnea. But I noticed she, even with the makeup they were putting on her, she looked actually quite grey. There was a blue tinge underneath all that. Or was it bad lighting? I don't know. But by the God, she looked old and grey. And I was like, how is it supposed to be sexy? Maybe they were trying to show that half-dead, starved women can still be desired and deemed sexy. And still have vibrant sex lives. And it's like, well, yes, they can, because beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? And it's whoever you fall in love with falls in love with you for the way you are and your spirit and your attitude and your looks and the way you dress, the way you hold. It's complex. It's not just your body, what your body looks like. But what I'm trying to say here is I don't want to ever be that skinny. If I get that skinny, there's a war on and I've been deprived of food against my will. And yeah, it might be good for my sleep apnea, but I'd rather die than run around looking like a corpse bride, by the way. Even though I'm fat and I am kind of dying, I by the gods, love the skin you're in and don't subscribe to other people's ideas of beauty. It's like, Nicole, darling, feed that little body of yours just a little bit more. Just 5-10 kilos, not a lot, because she's not the type that would ever want to get fat anyway, by the gods. But just enough to get rid of that sallow undercurrent of purple going on in your face. We're all aging. We need to puff ourselves up a bit. Puff and fluff and stuff. Just a little bit of padding, What happens if she gets a serious illness? She's got nothing to fight with. And, and the camera adds 10 kilos, by the way, so she'd be even more scrawnier than she looked like in the movie. I've got to think what the title of the movie was. Can't even remember. It was her daughter was working for some movie star guy who was a narcissist. And then he sacks the daughter because he was an arsehole. And she said, it's okay, I quit. And then he comes running to her home and walks right into their house, which wasn't, the doors were open, as if he owned the place, and stumbles across, the employee's mother and falls in love with her, aka Nicole Kidman. I mean, even the plot twist was a bit weird, because who leaves their door wide open when they're cleaning a house in a big house anywhere in the known universe, but especially in LA, am I right? So it was a weak movie from the beginning. I can't even believe I wasted an hour and a half watching it. I mean, she's such a brilliant actor. I've seen her in her brilliance, like in The Hours. But that bit of pap was just as pappy and needed a good feed as she did. Just saying. And the funny thing, through the movie, they're talking about how, the male actor was taking on roles for really stupid plot lines that were just stupid and mindless and made no sense. And I'm looking at it going, imitating life, babies. But anyway, the sex scene was kind of hilarious, because all I could think of was like, as if that's gonna happen. Crack, snap, popple and snap, crackle and pop, am I right? But anyway, maybe I'm projecting because I'm so scared. I'm actually terrified of entering into a sexual relationship again myself, because 10 years, people, to all intents and purposes, it's been 9 years. 9 years, it was 10 years when I met that doofus. So anyway, 9 years, I'm scared. I'm really scared of snap, crackling and popping myself with all my joints and not being quite limbered up. And anyway, hopefully the next time I have an experience like that, if ever, it will be with a man who's gorgeous and loving and beautiful to me and passionate and romantic and gentle and kind and sweet, who after the sex ends says, you're my woman and I adore you and I want to continue with this, and isn't just a fucking time waster. Oh my God, that's also something I'm afraid of. So I've got to subsume all my fears, and I've got to trust in life, l'chaim. And I've just got to, what do I've got to do? I've got to show this man that I'm sincere too, because I saw a bit of insecurity. There was a bit of insecurity I became aware of, and I'm like, why are you worrying about where I am when I removed myself from that very weird couple that I think were fetishists and were trying to fucking lean on me, literally. Her man was leaning right against me. I was like, oh, fuck off. It wasn't nasty because you don't know who they are. They might be friends with the guys in the band. They might be friends with the bar staff. They could be anyone. But don't press against me with your body. Have some respect. Oh, and the female was laughing like a hyena over nothing. I kept looking at her. I was like, what are you laughing at? So I think she might have even been laughing at me. And I thought, you can laugh at me, bitch, but there's nothing really to laugh at. So calm your farm. But anyway, when I removed myself, I noticed there was a bit of stressing for no reason. If Mama T removes herself from a situation, it's because she doesn't want to boil over and lose her temper, which happened on Saturday night because some weird fucking guy grabbed me. But anyway, it was so beautiful because Luke, the drummer, just mouthed to me, chill. And I'm like, and I chilled out, you know. But some nights it gets a little bit too crazy even for my nervous system, and I've got a high tolerance because I've been out dancing in the scene for 14 years. So it's like, what? But anyway, I'll just carry on dancing, keep myself safe and using my own judgment, and maybe start removing myself more, earlier in the piece, like with that weird couple on Friday night. I'll just go for a little walk. Well, I did actually do that. I went for a little walk and smoked my wee Willem cigar and calmed down, and then came back in and then just meandered around the back of the club because I thought, those people, I don't want to go back and stand beside those people that were annoying me. But anyway, apart from that little one insignificant thing in the broad scheme of things, two little insignificant things on both nights, in the broad scheme of things, are insignificant. It's not like I'm going to meet those bloody thuggish idiots ever again. I had wonderful times dancing wildly, and I got to get into my zone, and I got into my high peak catharsis, and at one point I was all over that club, flying everywhere, having a wonderful time, and that's what I'm going out for, to dance myself to my peak experience in my own body, mind and spirit, and then go home safely and happily and contentedly, and then build up my reserves for the following week. So this week on Friday, I think Ramjet are playing, so I like Ramjet. I'm very fond of Jeunesse and Juddy, so I'll be dancing for and with them on Friday, and we'll be doing it all over again. Yes, looking forward to that. Oh my gosh, it's a shitty day today. I haven't even got into our readings. I'm just chitter-chattering away to you. But look, nasty grey day. My golden rain tree's dropping all her leaves for winter. It was hot day yesterday. We got to 30 degrees. The last day of June, 30 degrees. It's bizarre. So anyway, where are we? Just trying to plug us back in. Right, so anyway, let's focus. Mama T needs to be a professional. She needs to get it all right. She needs to do what she does best. She needs to accomplish, and she needs to build a life for herself where she is happy and contented and safe and loved and feels successful, as I said earlier. 1st of July 2023, 2:02 a.m, home from dancing. When I drove into my driveway, I saw a black cat scurry out from behind my fish pond. He must have been hunting, or perhaps stopped by to drink out of the fish pond. I'm sure it's one of my neighbours' black cats. They've got two named Felix and Fergus. Lovely cats. I would take it as a sign of good luck. I have always adored black cats. I miss my cats. I'm tucked in bed with my Beauregard, my dog, a cup of tea, and have devoured a slice of banana bread. I'm utterly exhausted. It was very cold tonight. I danced wildly, but wore myself out early. C'est la vie, babies. It was good to dance and have one night of revelry. It's unusual that I wore myself out early, because usually if I dance like that, I dance myself into a kind of a frenzy, and then I'll move into exhaustion and I'll sit for a little and have a rest. But then I'll go into this hyper mental state where I will go into my second wind and then have a rest, and then a third wind and have a rest. But if I get to the fourth or fifth wind, that's the kill switch. That's when I go quite mad and do very strange things. Like the time I bounced Shani, the transgender lady boy, off one knee, and my friend who was from Korea, Joe, off the other knee, sort of in a half squat, trying to perfectly balanced, by the way, on my boots, and would not have been drunk by that time of the morning. It was like 4 a.m, had stopped drinking, and I was just on pure adrenaline and my fourth or fifth wind from going through all the various phases of exhaustion through dancing all through the night. Those days when I used to dance at the casino, I used to start dancing around 10 p.m. So 10 till 4 was way too much for me, and I'd go into hyperspace. But yeah, that was a happy memory, a really happy memory. Yeah, and Joe used to dance with me towards the end of the night, because he was mostly up at the high rollers. He'd come down around about 2 a.m, and he'd see me still dancing crazily on my spot in front of the band, although the bands in those days used to finish by about 2, I think, 10 till 2 or 10 till 1. And so the DJ would be on, and I'd still be going wildly dancing, and then he'd come fresh from resting all night gambling. I suppose it's a different kind of stress though. And he would come and dance wildly with me, and we would both match our energy. I don't know what star sign he was, but he was an acupuncturist by profession. And did he match my energy in that? In the dance would be like, as I said, feeding like a feedback loop, feeding each other, and the dance would get wilder and wilder and wilder, because I'd be in overdrive on my fourth wind, and even the security guards used to come and watch Joe and I dancing, and they'd be like, nothing of a sexual nature was ever going on between us, although he would have loved that. He really was madly in love with me, but I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there with him, because high roller gambler. It's like, I don't want a man who, obviously had money, but throws most of his money off on the fucking tables. Like, no, I need a man who's financially stable and knows how to manage his money. I can't stand people who are heavy gamblers. It's an addiction. It's an addiction, but it's not someone I will choose for a partner, by the way, because it's an addiction. And I've lived in poverty for a long time, and I grew up with my pedophile godfather was a very badly addicted heavy gambler, and my stepfather, who survived a concentration camp, was a bookie and gambled constantly with his friends, and in the Dutch club played a game called Clavias. And you know, so I know what gamblers are like, and it's toxic as fuck, and it's not someone I would actively go out to choose for a spouse or a partner. It's like it's a recipe for disaster with me, because triggers me. You know, watching hard-earned money get thrown away on a table and on the roll of a dice triggers me. And then the tantrums and the crying and the violence and the aggression and the throwing fucking wobblies because they've lost everything and have to go out again and try and recoup the money they lost, which it's on a whim. There's no guarantees of anything. Meanwhile, you know, the wives and the kids are all brutalised. Well, I was brutalised in different ways, just saying. But, you know, that was my parents enabling all of that, by the way. Anyway, let's not go there. Mustn't think about that today. I want to be happy. I want to cherish my happy weekend with my beautiful friends in the band. I love all three of you, by the way. You're wonderful men. You've been very kind to me. And my beautiful friends that I see regularly at the Brooklyn Standard, I love you too. And my own beautiful friends in my inner sanctum sanctorum, Lynn and Jared, and, you know, and then my friends Sally in New Zealand and Nigel in New Zealand and my cousin Megan in New Zealand. I have a lot of love around me, of good, kind, loving people, and I'm going to maintain that for as long as I can, babies. Here's a photo of my my other baby who's in Valhalla, and I couldn't keep him with me and couldn't maintain that, and I'm distraught about that. And there is that fucking spinal mass. I blame it on the Bravecto. Can't prove it, but I think that's what did him up. Anyway, he only had about 4 doses of it because I couldn't get it down his neck. He hated it so much. He knew he would just go, ugh. And I was putting it like an idiot in cheese, trying to make sure he got his dose, you know. And I killed my dog with that drug. It's my own stupid fault. It's absolutely killed my own beautiful baby there. I want to cry when I think about it. Crying won't help me though. He's gone now and they've gotten away with it. It's evil. It's completely evil what's been done to humans and animals in our modern epoch. So randomly he climbs up high on my pillows and sits on my head. It hurts my neck, so I'm going to move out of his way in a moment. The brat, do anything to have him lean on my head and hurt my neck again. My boy. My beautiful boy. I read that out yesterday. The murmurations fleeting and whirling. Why did I repeat it in today's vlog? Have I got the wrong day? No, I've got the right day. Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, I'll read it again because some of you may not have watched yesterday's video. It's only one short poem. Murmurations fleeting and whirling and changing in all 4 directions. Which end is up? Who will hold my hand at the end of my life? On which side of history will we land? Flying, flowing, giving more than we had while seriously ill and depleted, but never truly defeated, the way of the warrior goddess. Lunacy amidst the luminosity, outliving the daily atrocities, positivity plumping itself, then fading to grey. Never mind, there is always another phoenix rising. Ain't life grand? That blue-grey sallow colour under Nicole Kidman's cheeks. I hope she's not boosting herself stupid, by the way. Just saying. It's probably just undernourishment in the ageing process. I'm not undernourished, but I'm also looking a bit... Look, today I look quite pinky actually, not too bad, but there's days when I've looked at myself and thought, my God, you don't look good, Tanya. You don't look good. Time fighting, space banditing, oxygen thieving, am I right? Meanwhile, trying to keep a tamped lid on my being in love with a gorgeous man, because I can't have him. Oh, never mind. The gods are cruel sometimes. The gods are cruel, but you have to kind of laugh through it. Otherwise, you'd go quietly mad. Trust me on that one. So yesterday, feeling very, not mad because of him, but going mad at my fate that every time I've fallen in love with a man, he's either been a murderous, fucking rapey asshole, or he's been someone that's unattainable. It's like, I guess it's my subconscious trying to keep myself safe. It's partly my own soul contracts, trying to maintain my existence on planet Earth, knowing how dangerous men have been to me historically since early childhood. So, anyway, the Desiree, which is my middle name, means the desired one. The desired one will have to control her desires a little bit. Nah, I'll just have to continue the way I've always been, keep myself safe, live wild, live free, and dance. And whatever's meant to be is meant to be, am I right? Things flow naturally and easily when the love is real, by the way. Unlike what I experienced with those other fucking assholes in the past that did nothing but sabotage and stymie and atrophy and destroy me, and they got what they wanted. They destroyed me for quite a long time, and well, now I'm back, babies, and there'll be no more destruction. I just will not allow it. It's taken me too long to recover from the last one. So I'll just have to trust that this time the love is real and the person involved is good and kind and noble and honouring and decent towards me. Whoever that person that's destined to be my lover, my partner will be, because I don't actually know for sure. It's still in the lap of the gods, babies. No real communication apart from mouthing the occasional song lyrics and stirring me up. Hilarious. So yesterday, feeling very weak indeed, almost floating out of my body, I pushed myself after leaving the hospital to go to Coco's to buy a pumpkin and a few meagre vegetables. Dystopian, the extraordinary cost of basic food now, 2022. Try 2024, baby. Well, anyway. I started to panic but pushed that down too. But I did rush out of the store with the barest minimum. The pumpkin was very heavy to carry and my lungs were struggling. Shit, I thought. Dying is a pain in the ass. But not dying today Or tomorrow, I thought. Mana toa, Mad Mama T and her fucking mana toa. That means great, great power. So I put the hefty vegetables in the boot of my car and suddenly felt an urge to go to the Vinnie's store. I walk in, laboured breathing, feeling weak, thinking to myself, what the fuck? What are you doing? Just bloody go home. But something stirred in my discombobulated psyche and my lungs. I looked around and got inspired by two lovely skirts. I need new skirts as my old ones are almost threadbare. I just wear them around the house now or in the garden. So I looked at the skirts. I need a drink, by the gods, my throat's closing up again. They added up to $20, which was a good price for such lovely skirts. I ummed and ahed. Now I have to burp. Throat closes up, then burps. What does that mean? Nothing. Tried to talk myself down from spending more precious resources, but a funny thought hit me. Go ahead and die if that's what you want. But in the meantime, it's incumbent on you to clothe yourself. Live in this body, in the now. All will be well. Quit worrying about money. The stress of that alone is killing you. I go to the counter to buy the skirts. I remember this vividly, actually. In a cabinet is a beautiful cloisonné necklace that I donated to one of my friends. Well, they're not really friends, just kids in the neighbourhood. To friends in the neighbourhood. I know it was mine as it had a distinctive shiny chain. Whomever I gifted it to donated it to charity, and they're actually Jehovah's Witnesses, so I hadn't kind of realised that. So maybe they have this thing about witches giving them very nice costume jewellery, by the way. Big bag full. I gave to her little granddaughters, because the little granddaughters were talking to me one day and they said, we want to sell jewellery when we grow up. And they'd made little beaded bracelets. And I said, I've got some jewellery I can give you for you to sell to your friends at school. And they were thrilled. And I gave them a lot. I shouldn't have given it to them. I should have just, if I was going to do that, if they were going to give it to the fucking charity anyway, I should have just given it to charity. But anyway, so I was a bit upset to see that my gift had once again been abused or misdirected and cast off. But I thought, oh well, that's on them. That's on them, babies. But maybe it's a religious thing, being Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know. Don't know about that. All good. All good, I write. I always say, pay it forward if I give something to someone that they don't want. But the necklace stared at me and I stared back at it. I would have bought it back just so it knows it was loved. But I don't need it. I gave it away as I have too much costume jewellery. I have given most of it away. So I just smiled and prayed that someone will find it in the cabinet and love it and buy it. Somehow I felt it was rejected, abandoned and lonely, yet still it shone bright with its weird shiny chain and its bright blue cloisonné enamelling. Love everything, everything, everything. Atoms that make up the clothes we wear, or the cars we drive, or the furniture we sit on, and the accessories we decorate ourselves with, need love too. 11:38 a.m, home from the skin doctor. It was a bit surreal. His receptionist did not recognise me, asked if I had been there before. I stated I was there to get my stitches out on my third incision and that I'd been coming for 5 weeks and that I felt tortured. She just smiled at me wanly, like I was a ghost or a zombie. Perhaps I am. I did play zombie before leaving the house, but only to stomp out that Dybbuk Gisela, my progenitor. So the doctor calls me in, and as I enter his room, I observe his eyes slip sideways. Guilt or shame? Who knows? It's really odd, really fucking odd. I remain calm and congenial, even though my ancient ones were blood-curdling and ancient Tuvan, throat-singing deep in my gut. I felt like I was going to be smashed with diarrhea. Containment. Breathe. He runs his hands lightly over the other 2 scars to check they have healed nicely. Takes the stitches out of the wound where the cyst had been. The middle one hurt and I winced, but all good. The rest come out easily. I tell him with a voice that sounds brittle and almost robotic that I am healing myself in all vectors of my mind, body and spirit. I ask him when I will need a checkup. 6 months, Be'ezrat Hashem, that means by the will of God. The sunshine that I love so much does not keep slaying my body and I don't sprout any new cancers. I swear to all the gods, I hope I don't sprout any new ones because it's an ordeal every time, even just going for a little checkup. He's a nice enough man. He hasn't been creepy with me, this one. He's been a gentleman, but it's just that feeling of just being meat on a slab to be investigated with a lupe very, very close. It's very intimate. And then when he has had to cut me up, it's been a bit fucking brutal, to be honest. So I'm just don't want to go through that ever again. I just want to be loved in safe, nurturing, kind ways. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Calm down, Tanya. Calm down. Anyway, where was I? I tell him the world is going down in flames, so we must all strive to be happy. Why did I say that? Who cares about happiness when we are entrenched in a weird, fucked up psyop game for our merest survival? But my angels pass on these glib messages from my mottled, cyanotic lips. That means bluish, purpley coloured lips from lack of air. I am being used like a soul-ridden zombie corpse prophetess. And when I think about it, it's hilarious. It is indeed. Must go inside, like my message to that policeman on early Saturday morning leaving the Brooklyn Standard. I trust no one. He's like, I might trust no one too. Good way to be, I reply. I guess he's got a point there. I mean, I could have been a maniac. I could have had a weapon in my glove box. He probably was worried that I was pulling out a weapon too, because I was fumbling for my breathalyzer. There probably was a little bit of that moment running through his mind thinking, what's this crazy woman doing, to be fair. But anyway, that was my message to him. Trust no one, and it's a good way to be, babies. But sooner or later, especially when you have to access medical treatment for skin cancers, you have to put your trust in someone. Am I right? Anyway, here we continue. I must go inside and lie down on my bed with a nice cup of tea and some chocolate and contemplate my life force, my ruach. Ruach is in Kabbalah is your breath, the breath of God, your actual life force, your breath, your emanations of your spirit. My ancient ones who always research me and examine my happiness, hard won in a time that feels like a cracked open seed, emanating light and love and exponential potential, even amidst the shit, the grit and the pathos. Mana toa, moan my Māori cousins, ancient grandparents. When you read that with all the OAs joined together, it's quite astonishing. I'll have to read that again because I kind of flipped out looking at the words. Mana toa, moan my Māori cousins, ancient grandparents. You have mana toa. That was, my cousin explained it to me. Mana toa is old Māori. You know, they don't usually link the two words together in modern Māori now. It's just mana. But they came to me in 2020 randomly out of nowhere while I was cleaning Charlie's room, mopping. Kept telling me I have mana toa, great mana, great strength, great power, great life force. And I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. But now I know. Thank you, Te Hui Hui Nā and Parata. They're not my actual ancestors. They're my cousins, but they came to protect this little Pakeha cousin of Megan. It was beautiful, really beautiful. And I replied, Awe, spirits, but for how much longer? And they replied, for as long as the gods decree, eternity or a momentary blip in the space-time continuum, riders in the storm, hold your head high, little one. Okay, thank you. Aroha nui, kiss, 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 kiss. Oh, I've got chills. I'm so honoured to have had that love flow to me from the ancient ones that I've never met and didn't even know existed, quite frankly, before they started chatting to me in ancient Māori, which of course I didn't speak, and I freaked out and had to call my cousin and Megan and say, I think I've finally gone batshit crazy. And she said, no, I know who that is. It's my great-grandparents. I was like, oh, thank the gods. I thought I was hallucinating or finally lost my mind. When you're a psychic medium, you're very, very precious about maintaining your equanimity and protecting your mind, because it's a fine line between genius and schizophrenia, people. It's a bit of a worry. And as a shaman too, we all know how important it is to protect our minds. Which is why I get very, very broigus, that's Yiddish for angry and furious, if anyone tries to mind fuck me. I don't care who they are. I don't care how much I love you or how in love with you I am, or how close a friend you are, or how, if you're my own bloodlines like my daughters, you mind fuck me and there will be consequences. Because I've been striving to hold on to my sanity and my mind since the abuse started in early infancy. And I had to ride through so much ghastly fucking horror. And somehow even my psychiatrist was amazed. He said, I don't know how you didn't suicide as an adolescent, given your childhood history. most people would not have made it. There's nothing wrong with your mind, Tanya. Your mind is very, very strong and powerful indeed, and your spirituality has kept you intact as well. So, but you know, historically I would have these people like the homeopath Davidson and that last idiot, the dreadlock nitwit, try to fuck my mind, and oh boy, were you gonna always be destined to go down in a fucking blaze of your own ignominy, because no one dares fuck with the Tanya. I'm too intelligent, and I've been broken and rebuilt too many times to be gaslit and go into denial. I mean, I did live in denial for a long time with my own mother because she's my mother. It's very, very difficult to calibrate and recalibrate from her constant narcissistic psychopathology. But anyone else tries that shit with me, it's like, no, we've done that. We've done that. We've survived that. We're not doing that again. It's not smart. It's not wise. It's not cricket. It's also not kind. And also, it's actually not necessary. If you don't want a woman, all you have to say is, I don't want you in my life. Just be honest. Don't be cruel about it, like Dave was cruel about it. Just be, sorry, I don't want you in my life, and it's time we both parted and we're now separate ways. Don't shove women in my face and play sick, perverted, sexual, sadomasochistic BDSM games like he did. Don't wait till I'm vulnerable, grieving my evil dead mother, to kick me when I'm down like Courtney did. Just shake hands or kiss each other on the cheek and, part ways as politely as, things began. Closed circuit. And the beginnings are our endings. There's no need for all that vileness and treachery and sordidity and immaturity and insecurity and instability and envy and spite. Envious of what? A woman struggling to breathe and recalibrate her life on a disability pension? I used to laugh at the people at the casino that were all colluding and flying monkeys of Dave and his sluts, by the way. I just would laugh at them. Oh, you're jealous of me, who sits in poverty in housing commission on a disability pension. You're jealous of me because I've got a nice frock. Most of my clothes are gifted to me by, friends who are downsizing or upsizing, or they've lost weight or whatever. Most of my lovely clothes are given to me, by the way, or, as I described here, I buy them in second-hand shops. The only things I buy new are my corsets, and even then I buy them on sale. But wait a minute, let's rewind here a little bit. I don't need to justify how I dress myself or how I live or how I exist to anyone. I'm going to stop doing that. Rewind. But see, that's how vile and abusive they were at my so-called circle at the Treasury Casino. Writhen with envy and spite because I had a nice pair of boots on, or my hair was freshly done at the hairdresser, or I had a nice pair of earrings, or a man looked at me with deep affection and sweetness. Ooh, or that used to really upset them. Having me look up at my beautiful friend while he's playing guitar and would be flirting and just really kidding around anyway, because I knew he was married even back then. And you mustn't do that, it's disgusting. Disgusting, I haven't done anything. I go home alone at the end of the night in those days to my dog and my cats. But you would see things crawling under their skin. This was a long time before people actually had things crawling under their skin, by the way. Can we say Mother Hydra's babies? But anyway, this was some years before that happened. And they would just, you could see the envy. It would be just wriggling like worms, like maggots under their skin. And I'd be looking at it and there'd be like just aura of seeping pustulant ooze coming out of their aura, and they'd be looking at, oh, you can't see that. What? Well, I'm not allowed to have a man be in love with me in sweet, kind, soul-nourishing, kind, nurturing ways. What, you forbid me? You forbid me to even be loved. Or what? What, because of my boots? One woman was so envious of my car when it was brand new. Well, how'd she afford that? Even my English friend George from London, George the busker, said to this particular bit, he said, that's her inheritance. She had to fight for 2.5 years to get that car. Why are you jealous of someone's car? Like, go to work, get your own car. I work all the time, she says. I do this, I do that. No, she wasn't. She was up slagging around the fucking casino, boozing herself stupid, probably a gambler too, although I don't know about that, but one can assume. And, you know, jealous of me dancing my dance of freedom on my little spot, having a few male friends occasionally throw a bit of attention my way or dance with me or hand me a drink. Oh, the viciousness that went on and on. That went on for years and years. And, you know, it was just putrid. It was just putrid what went on. Anyway, I'm so grateful that I'm dancing in a dance space now where there's been a couple of women turning up in recent weeks looking at me all, you know, the crawling under the skin of that writhing envy. And here we go, another one. I just rise above it because I've done that apprenticeship of pain. I did it. I'm an expert in that field, rising above narcissistic psychopaths and their petty insecurities and envies, by the way. You can almost smell them coming. They're so oozing ammonia and pus from their hatred and their envy. Of what? What? A woman who hasn't been made love to in 9 years because I can't trust anyone with my body. You know? I mean, it's just, you have to laugh. It's insanely funny. Like, really, it's insanely funny. But anyway, and that's the other thing that I'm scared of too, is getting into a relationship where the envy and the viciousness starts permeating, and so they chip away and sabotage what little bit of joy and happiness I and my partner have together, you know, because out of resentment or envy or jealousy, or, you know, I don't maybe have quite as much time anymore, whatever motivates that. I actually fear that too. So one of my manifestations a long time before things started to bloom with this friend of mine, that I considered that it was starting to bloom. A long time before that, one of my manifestations was that I want a loving partnership where there's no sabotage, no envy, no spite, no insecurities, no doubts and no fears, because it's not sustainable otherwise. And the right relationship is someone who's completely for you and you're completely for them, and everyone sees it and respects it and honours it and acknowledges it, that they can see the love is authentic and real. So it's all systems go, and there's no malignancies like I had at that casino with that false fucking lover. Anyway, it was just shitful is what it was. Absolute shit. And even then I hung on because I'm a shaman and I have a tendency to love too much sometimes. Anyway, where was I? Here we are, going on. We're going on. This is a little bit triggering too, but we'll go on. We'll carry on because the truth remains the truth. And when I've finished all these memoirs and anecdotes and memories, I can put it all away in a nice little package like I did when I burnt all the diaries a few years ago. Just put it all neatly tucked away, clean and clear for my next relationship that I believe will be magnificent and beautiful and wholeheartedly, loving from both, from him to me and me to him. A true soulmate that is loving. That's what I'm manifesting, people of Earth. Psychedelic dreamer dreams as ever. But here we are. Laughing my ass off, my evil, pustulant, dead mother is here, meaning her spirit, people. Ach du lieber Gott, Omi is here. Omi means grandma. Here I write, oh dear God, grandma is here. I was singing a few notes between languorous hacking spasms. And this was in 2022 when I was desperately, desperately ill. And I wasn't taking kindly to my mother's spirit coming around when I was that fucking ill and vulnerable, by the way, because it meant that I was in danger of actually dying. And I do not want that bitch near me, even when I'm actually dying. That's how evil she was. So you can imagine how I was like kind of freaking out that I could feel her presence around me. I'll repeat here again. I was singing a few notes between languorous hacking spasms. Literally struggling for air, I started singing this melody. One of the notes sounded like Bali High from South Pacific. I was raised on Hollywood musicals by both my mother and half-sister. They were always trying to paint such a pretty, Disneyfied, Hollywood, artificial worldview, create this fantasy for me that I had a beautiful, safe, happy life when I actually didn't. So everything was fake, including their love, by the way, and the programming they put into my head, which meant I had great difficulty choosing partners historically. I mean, hopefully I'm better now after 25 fucking years of therapy. But back in the day, as a child bride at 17, what did I know? I was raised on Disney, where the prince marries the princess and they become the king and the queen, and they have their own little tribe and their own little family, and they live happily ever after. Am I right? No one tells you the real story of what happens after the prince and the princess get married, and the prince gets bored of the princess, and the princess gets fat because she's punched out 2 kids and had her vagina mutilated, by the way, and stitched up and patched up, and now she doesn't look quite so sexy and nubile and virginal anymore, and now she's older and she's growing up and she's getting wiser, and she's looking at the prince and she's thinking, this man is no prince. I've been lured into a false sense of stability by a man I married thinking he was a happy-go-lucky, loving guy, has now turned into a fucking asshole, and I'm stuck now with 2 little babies and my vagina and my stretch marks and thinking no man's ever going to love me with this body. And I actually thought that because I married my first sexual partner, by the way, at 19. I married him. So I'm like, who's going to love this body? I had no self-esteem left. I was told by him all the time that I was ugly and stupid and worthless. When I went home to my mother, I was told the same things. She'd been telling me those things since infancy. So what did I know? What did I know about how to turn fairy tales into reality and make it a beautiful life where each member of that partnership is soul nourished and protected and valued and cherished and adored and cared for and honoured and in generosity and in peace and in safety and in great, great, great and powerful manatua love. What did I know about that at 17 and 19 and when I left my marriage at 29 and only to be brutalised over and over again? What did I know at 35? Well, by 35, that's when the penny finally dropped, when my mother said what she said to me that was so vile, I almost considered driving off a bridge. At 35, I realised no one's going to save me. No one's going to love me or value or cherish me unless I do it for myself. And I started rebuilding from the David Davidson fucking fiasco, by the way. I started healing myself. I started fighting for myself. And then 5 years later, I got manipulated into that relationship with Courtney, who also became very destructive and life-threatening. So is it any wonder that it took me years after that, even 4 years after my mother died, for me to open and love again? And then that dreadlock nitwit came along. And so here we are again, 10 years later. Mama T's willing, able, hopeful, yearning, desiring of a true and great love for the first time in my life, ever, to experience real love. I'm willing, I'm putting myself out there, going dancing every weekend, being open to the multiverses to bring me the right man who adores me and values and cherishes me. And I'm seeing it, by the way. The times are a-changing and I'm ready. That's all I have to say about that. But the other person has to be ready and they have to choose me, otherwise it'll just be another fucking nightmarish, dystopian, horrific disaster like I had with all the other partners. And I don't want that. I really don't. What can I say, talking about the Hollywood musicals? What can I say? It was the 60s and 70s, and everyone was self-soothing and obfuscating their roles as protectors of their actual children. But we had sweet little songs to compensate, yeah? A benign. Even as a child, if I rolled my eyes any more, I would have dry, empty sockets. C'est la vie en rose. You can't pretty up a terrible, debauched childhood by wrapping it in ribbons and bows and favourite things and shit glitter all over it. God only knows those evil, dirty bastards tried. So I put on South Pacific, play Bali High. Lovely but humorous. As always, my family of origin are funny as hell. They could have all been comedians. They were extremely entertaining when they got going. Some of even their most violent blazing rows, the repartee and banter that flowed between them, I would sit back as a child, about 5 or 6, and I would just think, that's a good line. I must remember that for future reference. The insults and the it was astonishing, really astonishing. But anyway, Just watching a strange four-wheel drive pull up. Must be a friend of the neighbours across the road. So I put on, I read that. So the next song was Wash That Man Out of Your Hair, which was one of my mother's favourites. Do you know that song, you young people? You gotta wash that man right out of my hair. Da, 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 da. Something like that. Google it, Spotify it. It's a 70s song and it's schlocky, but it's kind of cute. Sometimes used to comfort me in the early days of my marriage when it was already going bad too. I used to think, here we are, history repeating. The tragedy when you've got very bad relationship tapes imprinted into your skull since birth. History has a tendency to repeat. You've got to know when to draw the line in the sand and say, no, 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 this is a pattern that's repeating and I'm not going to have that happen to me or anyone I love ever again. Step over the filth and walk away from it if you have to. That's how I knew it was my mother's inspiration to play South Pacific, because following it up with Wash That Man Out of Your Hair was one of her personal favourites. So I knew for sure then that spirit was my mother hanging around. I told her to get herself hence to the 7th echelon of hell. But we all know that creature is immersed in my bones and DNA. She is an albatross, a dross I can never shuck off. It's interesting she is here, probably circling like a vulture to claim my spirit, because as I said, 2022, I was very, very ill indeed. Didn't have COVID, but I was very ill with my lungs. It's astonishing that my psychiatrist said my lung function test shows that my lungs are actually quite healthy now, 2 years later. So maybe the Marlene tea cleared out whatever malignancy or goop was in there and contributed to healing my lungs. So thank you, Jim Carrington, who's one of my YouTube subscribers or followers that suggested I drink that. You, sir, saved my life. I will need extra protection even in the final death throes. That demon shall not have me. My own mother I'm talking about. Isn't that awful to have a mother like that, that even when you're dying with your lungs, you reject any thought of her even coming to guide your spirit into the light, because she's that fucking evil and perverted, by the way. Spotify keeps playing Bali High on repeat, which doesn't usually happen, by the way, when you have a song loaded on Spotify. It doesn't usually repeat, it just loads other random songs or whatever's on your playlist. So that was also a bit frightening. So here I write, what is the message I am not getting? Better find out ASAP before I visit my latest skin doctor sadist for the stitches removal. Size. Tschüss, which is a Hamburg, Germany expression, means like a little kid going bye-bye. Tschüss. It's sort of cute like little kids do. Tschüss. You wouldn't know unless you're German, but I was actually being fucking sarcastic there. Bye-bye to my mother like a little kid. Yeah, tschüss, all right, as in fuck the hell off. Which fortunately she seems to cycle around less often now, thank all the gods. I got woken up at 4 a.m. by the need to pee for the 4th time tonight. And screaming curlews outside my house that sounded like thinly wailing banshee. Momentarily I freaked out as I feel so close to death right now. I lay in bed and listened. Nup, I feel sure a banshee would be much louder and more terrifying. I climbed back into my bed from the cold bathroom, having also let the dog out for a pee, exhausted and craving more sleep, but I got sidelined by checking my emails. I am excited and vindicated that Vocal Media finally punished not one, but two of my journal entries that they had kept refusing to publish until I went supernova and fought them yesterday. I told them I will have my truth and I will be taking it with me to paradise. I was actually fighting to have only one story published, but they also published the March one. Wow. I had purposely left it in the draft section as a silent protest that it had not been published. So thanks, Vocal Media. I am learning each and every day that fighting for every scrap of my existence, including my own breath, my own truth, my creativity, and my place on this planet, is finally being recognized and validated. Pity it has taken this long and is this late in my life that I may not be able to survive much longer. But here I go, another miniature triumph. But I must sleep now. I have to see the skin doctor in the morning to have the stitches removed from the last incision. Hopefully I don't grow any more skin cancers for the rest of my life, as I am done. Boker Tov. Good morning, my beloveds. It's now 5:03 a.m., another day in paradise. And yes, I've been fortunate the last 12 months. There have been no new cancers, so hopefully my prayer there has been answered. Although I still have to maintain, the 6 monthly checks just in case, but hopefully, by the will of the gods, I don't have to go through those ordeals ever again. 1st of July 2021. Spoilt Mama T cooking dinner with all the delicious goodies provided for me by my gorgeous friend. To all my friends and the gods, ancestors, elementals that have loved me, protected and or defended me, blessed me, honoured me, fed me, clothed me, heard me in my many various trauma processings, loved me to infinity and beyond. I am so astonishingly amazed and graced by your deep, unabated love, especially when I can be such a pain in the tuchus, in the arse that means. Just wow. Then I posted a photo of my dinner, which, looks pretty nice, but you don't need to see photos of my dinners. My fairy goddess just waved a magic wand and someone, one of my earth angels who shall remain nameless, has sent me groceries. Thank you, my darling. Much appreciated. Quelle surprise. So that's why I posted a photo of my dinner to show what I did with all the lovely food that I was gifted. 1st of July 2019. 11:11 a.m. Bathing sunshine on my very sore Donai belly, marvelling in the white flesh and the tiny ancient silvery lines from 34-year-old stretch marks. 39 years old now. Love me, love my stretch marks, babies. Marveling in the new surgery scars healing so quickly. Those were not so lovely, and it's another reason why I got very distressed about my potential love life, because I'm covered in scars now. It's really not all that attractive. I don't even know why this man's looking at me with such love and affection. I'm not even all that attractive. I guess he sees my wild persona when I'm out dancing and finds that exciting, as a lot of men do, not realising that, it's just one aspect of me. On YouTube, you get to see me like yesterday when I had washed my hair and I hadn't brushed it and I looked all witchy poo. You get to see the other side of my persona, the side that doesn't give a fuck and doesn't always brush her hair, or, might have bird poop down my t-shirt or lipstick on my teeth like I had yesterday. You get to see the real me. So, it's not quite so stimulating romantically because it's authentic and it's real, but it freaks a lot of men out, having a real woman that they might actually have to be with and make a commitment to, and wake up to her with a mask and snorkel on her face every morning. Thanks, CPAP. Thank you for saving my life, CPAP, you evil fucks. But I know, I have to do it. I know, I have to go along with it. If I end up in a loving partnership with a man that makes a commitment and lives with me, we can get around it. We'll just have separate bedrooms, make love in the morning when I take the mask off, or make love before we go to sleep at night. Or I don't know, we'll work it out. That's what you do when you love each other. You get around things, you overlook things, and you make it work somehow. It's oh look, I'm dreaming, aren't I? Maybe I died and you're talking to my ghost and this is some kind of surreal fucking dream. None of it's real. I sometimes have to slap myself every now and then just to make sure I really am real and still embodied and alive, and just get on with living, just get on with the living. 1st of July 2019. I already read that. Jesus. Okay. Marvelling in the new surgery scars healing so quickly. Only the drain incision, still an open wound. That was post the gallbladder surgery. That was so awful. But itchy, so itchy. The sun will dry out the subcutaneous flesh and strengthen my skin. Itchy is a good sign, actually, that you're healing. The light breezes caress me like a gentle lover's touch, the only touch I receive from the wind and air and spirit. Better than the laying of hands of any false, malevolent human. The sun is my father, at times a burning man, but only if I expose myself to his heat too long. The earth, my mother, is doing her best to support me, even as her children spit and spawn and spread poison, both physical and ephemeral, all over the globe. I think I meant ethereal. Ephemeral means short-lived. Got to fix that. That's not good. That is a wrong use of that word. I come from migrant stock, so every now and then I make boo-boos with my English. It's one of my charms, like when I used to say vacuum cleaner instead of vacuum cleaner, because I learnt the word from my mother and didn't know that she had it wrong, did I? She tells me, fear not, I have got this, the rising and the shining. Her wrath lies crawling beneath her skin, and she waits in silent contemplation for the next outburst of courage under the sunny fire and the humanoid constant betrayal. They have raped us, despoiled us, soaked us in our own blood and tears. But each time we rise, we become mightier and fiercer and more loving than anyone can ever can. Yes, we do, because we've tasted the opposite of that, and we don't ever want to exemplify that ugliness. We were underestimated and devalued, slandered and denounced, stabbed in the face and back and even sides. But we rebirthed ourselves, as is the way of the warrior goddess. Glory be to the lowest of the low and to the supernal highest. Everything is illuminated and everything is connected. Just for today, I must heal. Winky face. Watch Harmony. Interesting movie about energy transference and harnessing the energy of love and transmuting fear. 1st of July 2018. Okay, I was about to wash my coffee mug from yesterday, but these images are too fascinating for my intuitive, psychic, artsy friends. What do you see here? There are no right or wrong answers. Holy doolies. Whew, I see an orgy when I look at that. First thing I thought when I looked at it, holy doolies. But it's kind of a grotesque looking orgy, something out of Roman times. Anyway, that's what I see. What do you see? P.S. I saw a huge ram or goat, looks more like a goat, and was very amused when the band playing at the Elephant at the Elephant Hotel last night was Ram Jet, ram being a male sheep, not quite a goat, but definitely a ram. It's funny, I don't see a ram now. Let me have a look at it again. But that's what I saw back in 2018. Wow. 2018 was when my life started to turn around. My writing got better. I was, 2 years and 2 years off psych meds. It was the year before I got fucking knocked back down again by that awful gallbladder surgery. But 2017, 2018, I started to blossom out again exponentially, and it was, I could see the change in me. It's probably because I was no longer under the influence of heavy psych meds, and I was thinking clearly and lucidly, and I was seeing things with clarity, and how they really are, and not just in my own psyche, but in the world around me and in all my relationships and friendships. And it was an amazing year, 2018, but it started in 2017. And then my friend from Pal Talk days, Joanne Ryan, wrote a frog flipping off the middle finger. And we laughed. And then Kellyanne wrote the up yours rude finger gesture. And then my friend Sheila Snow, who was a shaman like me, said, I see a horse shield. And I wrote, yet to discover what any of the symbols mean. Watch the space, my Facebook page, for any interesting, unusual, exciting developments. I don't see, oh yeah, I see the finger now. I see the finger now. It was at the top. Right there, I think they're pointing to that. It does look like someone's flicking the bird in there and there, but I was more focused on what was going on down here. It looks like a bacchanalian orgy with people sitting on like one of those couches like they had in Roman times, and that looks like a woman reaching over, like handing something to feed the man. But look, I don't know what this could be a person lying down, but don't know what this grotesque sort of shape is. But yeah, that was astonishing. But anyway, that was so 6 years ago now, darlings. We're over that now. I don't know what that was presenting to us, but the kind of debauchery and insouciance and insanity that perhaps we just lived through in the last 4 years, darlings. It might have been about that, but we'll never know now, will we? Because I didn't interpret it at the time. I had no idea what the images were presenting to me. But yes. Still in 2018. Thinking of the woman in the hooded jacket last night as we walked back to my car, past the peep shows and nightclubs on Brunswick Street, which is in the Fortitude Valley here in Brisbane, which is a famous nightclub scene, or used to be anyway. Don't know if it's still active, haven't been there in a long time. It's 2:30 a.m. and the streets are filled with drunks and punks and shadowy people, psychic vampires, people waiting for their bus home on their inevitable ride back to an ordinary, less glitterati, less disco, balls up to life. I stride along with Jenny and we laugh together. Two older women living our freedom and our joy, exhausted but content. I look at the people gaping at us from the bus lines. I quip to Jenny, at least we don't have to take the fucking bus tonight, and we laugh heartily. It's cold and we are tired, and I have always hated taking public transport. We saunter near the hooded woman, and I have a sense of déjà vu as she calls out to me as I approach, I love your hat. I am wearing my purple top hat, my biker jacket, my cowgirl boots, and my crondom seeps out of me like like honey butter on a molten cupcake. It's all attitude. I stop long enough to look into ancient eyes in a pale and youthful face, which was a bit astonishing, to be honest. A completely bald head, shaved, leukemia? Hard to tell, but I see into her soul. In a brief moment of searing recognition, and I smile my sardonic smile of one who knows. Thanks, darling. That's lovely of you. Our eyes are gripped in a tight embrace. No, thank you, she says emphatically. I feel a brief confusion as I withdraw my energy and proceed to walk on into our night. dark nights of souls and angels on the streets of Brisbane. What the fuck was I being thanked for? For dressing to my own power and flowering in my own fate? Perhaps she thanked me for seeing her and showing appreciation for her compliment, but it felt deeper than that, sublime. One always knows when one has been in the company of angels. It nourishes one in a way that we don't always recognize in the moment. Something to savour, like an after-dinner mint or a memory that brings a smile to wizened, weary lips. No, thank you. Sweetness and light amidst the dreck and dross and gross malfeasance. A blessing on your head. I had a great night last night with Jenny. Today I am exhausted and have had a roiling anxiety. Everything I read today, Trump, Khalifa's continued career as a paedophile, has been triggering. Life seems so ugly and pointless and fragile. Yet still we must hold on to the intrinsic beauty of our own innate power. Mana. I wrap myself in love. Love for a tiny little girl who deserves better. Myself. Love for all the children held in detainment camps for the crime of needing a safe place to grow up in. Love for all the wounded, loveless adult women who were debased and tortured, raped, molested, stolen from, torn as children and as adult survivors for the crime of being beautiful, vulnerable, of existing at all. For the crime of wanting to be loved and cherished and protected, but instead we fell in love with our prison guards and or rapists of soul and mind and body and heart. When they trampled on our free and wild, fierce and beautiful hearts, they took too much. Decades, eons, paradigms. Go away, pop-up thingy, I can't read. Decades, eons, paradigms fell by the wayside, but we clung on. Yes, we did, baby girls and boys. Here she is. Stragglers and strangers threw us a lifeline, a kind word here, a smile. Thanked us for seeing them in our own cloaked raiment of hell, and a juxtaposed joke of paradise. I can't bloody pronounce the word. And a juxtaposed joke of paradisical, yes, got it there. Paradisical, maniacal, stubborn belief in justice, truth, freedom, and courage. of hope, purity of spirit, purged and tempered like steel in the Phoenician fires. Someone strange but glorious was created. But we cannot see ourselves in our own pain and suffering, for as chaotic heroines we poke and prod our languid spears to tilt at crumbling windmills, still crunching our grain to grind the bones of men into wrathful grapes and feed our lives with manna and wine, the biblical manna that falls from heaven. You know, the edible stuff that used to appear in the desert as the children of Israel were wandering for 40 years. So they were fed with literally this floating kind of wafer type substance. Apparently it's a real manifestation that's been known to happen in the desert. And I can't explain what it is actually, but it's edible. And that's how they survived 40 years on a very fucking bland diet. And then what did the Roman Catholics go? Still giving communion with these very bland, boring wafers. Ask me how I know. I used to get dragged to Catholic church as a little girl, even though technically I was a Protestant, a Lutheran. And I got to taste you put it on your tongue, the blood, the body of Christ, am I right? And the wine, the blood. And I'd say, because I was an intelligent child, I'd say, but Mr. Hodemakers, my Dutch neighbour down the road with his 5 kids and his Catholicism, devout good man actually, isn't this cannibalism? And he would look at me and think about it in this dour, weird Dutch way. He was a very dour man. And he'd say, actually, Tanya, I haven't thought about it, but you're kind of right. But anyway, he said it's a ritual and, you know, it's a blessing and it keeps us safe. And I thought, I need all the safety I can get. I knew I needed that even at that age. So I was not too fussy about what church I got dragged to or what blessings came my way in whatever formal manner that the multiverses presented to me. I've even had wonderful blessings from people who were Satanists by faith and were very good, kind, noble people actually. Earth-loving, child-protecting, animal-protecting. So I don't judge where my earth angels come to me from. Sometimes people that seemed the most dark-sided, covered in tattoos and sometimes a bit stoned, quite frankly, or not quite right in their own mind, had the purest, most soul-nourishing souls and deep kindnesses. So, as I think it says in the Christian Bible, although I don't usually give too much credit to that religion, but it says, judge not, lest thou be judged. And that's how I live my life, because I was raised by the most respectable and articulate and intelligent and considered honourable people who were child abusers. Had everyone full, didn't they, with their measure of respectability. None of us children were safe with them, by the way. So there is that. Have you noticed every time I speak about my family of origin, my throat closes up and I start choking or coughing? I have. It's the 3rd time today that that's happened. So I'll have to work at getting that trauma out of my body. I should not be having a physical reaction every time I think or mention those bastards, because I've done the therapy for 25 years. It's not It's not news to me that they were bastards. I knew that before I entered into therapy. The only thing that therapy has done for me is that over time I gained the confidence and the courage to admit that to myself that they were actually all bastards, and so I began to heal and unravel and pass out, all their qualities, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the dangerous, and even be able to acknowledge some of their good qualities, which surprisingly, those monsters had a few of those too. It is what it is, people of Earth. Human beings are complex creatures. But when it comes to, keeping yourself and your children safe, you need to learn the power of discernment, and you need to recognise when people are presenting as one thing and are actually nothing but fucking rotten underneath. You need to be able to see these things for your own sanity and safety and protection. Otherwise, you'll have a life like mine for decades. By the gods. Even my psychiatrist said to me, had you come to me at ground zero when you were 6 years old and been in therapy from that age, you would have had a vastly different life. But he said you came to me, I was 2010, 45, before I began therapy with my current doctor, and I began therapy with Dr. Eastwell when I was 38, so I was with him for 9 years. No, I must have been a bit younger than 38. Anyway, I was with him for 8 or 9 years, and then he got forced into retirement or shut down, and I was 6 months without any therapy, and then I began with my current doctor. And then I had therapy with a psychiatrist when I was freshly strangled, when I was 30, and that bastard told me to get a job and get a haircut when I was so deeply traumatised I could barely exist at all. I was hanging by a thread. He was a monster. But I was with him. I saw him for about a year until he sacked me as a patient because I refused to have family therapy with my mother, because it's just simply, that was not safe to put me in that position. He really was a sadist, that man. Shouldn't be a treating psychiatrist, by the way. Still is, but he shouldn't be. Fucking dangerous he was. A woman who was so brutalised and freshly throttled by some maniac tells me to get a job and a haircut. Fuck off, dog. Anyway, if my current psychiatrist sees this video, he knows who this man is. And he knows I'm still angry how I was betrayed by that systemic abuse back when I was 30, by the way. I also saw a counsellor through Relationships Australia, a wonderful woman who just thought I was wonderful and kept telling me how wonderful I was, which was all very fine and dandy, because I am a wonderful woman, but back at that time I wasn't coping. My stepfather had just died, and I was so I must have seen the first psychiatrist after, not when I was 30, when I was over 30, because I saw her first. And my stepfather had died on the 25th of November 1995, and with his death, which was 11 months after my separation and the strangulation and everything, but with his death I went into a very strange kind of fugue state, and you'd think I'd be fucking happy that he was dead, the cunt, given how much emotional and sexual predation he'd enacted upon me all my childhood. But I don't know, it was a strange grief. I guess it was kind of a grief because you couldn't resolve it, because it was odd. Anyway, I went into a strange. I can feel it. I can feel the fog going surrounding me just talking about it. The strange kind of fugue state, and that catalysed because I was not coping with life at all. You know, I ended my friendship with my beautiful lifeline friend, the only friend I had at that time. You know, I had Lynn, but I wasn't seeing Lynn so often at that point in time. I can't remember. We were still friends, but she was dealing with her own issues. And so I was very alone, and I had no one to rely on because I only had this toxic, fucking awful family. And in case died meant my mother became even more vicious. Like, she amplified it to the power of 10. And so I was very alone and isolated and traumatized. And then I go to this Relationships Australia counsellor, lovely woman. And then she wrote everything down on the board, and I wrote down my family history and all the relationships and how she took one look at it. She said, I don't know how you survived your childhood. She said the same thing as my current psychiatrist. I said, oh, well, I just put one foot in front of the other and I just kept going, and I just lived in denial, and I went to school and I came home and went to school and I came home, and when I wasn't at school I was on the beach running wild with my little friends, which was my only happiness and joy and freedom and safety. By the way, it wasn't safe at home. And I said I just got older and grew up and then married the first idiot fucking boyfriend that came my way, because manipulated again. And what did I know? I wanted my own home and my family and my children, and to be Jewish and my own community and to be respectable and be loved, and that all turned to shit and ashes in front of my eyes too. Not immediately, but over time, especially when we came here to Brisbane in 88. So here we are now, all these decades later, at 59 years of age. I no longer have my Jewish community because I walked away from it after decades of abuse. I mean, I still have friends in the community that are lovely to me and still love me, and I'm sure if I turned up to synagogue or temple, they would still look at me with affection and make me welcome. But there was too much enmity and backbiting from all the others. I just couldn't take it anymore. I don't need to live in this fucking blender machine of hate and treachery and viciousness, you know? And I just walked away. So here I have it now after all these years, having the sweetness and kindness at the Brooklyn Standard Club, surrounded by people who really appreciate when I turn up and say, I've missed you, and I've only been gone one week, you know, one Friday, 1 week, you know. It's delightful. It's so delightful to have people that actually like me, you know, and treat me with respect and kindness. So delightful. I've got rivers of emotion pouring through me to the point where I want to cry, because that's all I ever wanted, is to have my own loving family, which I no longer have, and my own community that treat me with sweetness and kindness, and my own man one day that loves me so much that he sees me and, you know, feels the same way that I feel about him, and we see each other and we love each other. That's all I ever fucking wanted out of life, people of Earth. And you know what? Those weren't big things to ask for, by the way. Everyone should have that. Their own nurturing, soul-nourishing communities, tribes, villages, extended families, their own loving family, their own spiritual community or religious community, whatever faith you belong to, and your own, you know, partners, that's spouses, partners, life partners, whatever you want to frame that reference as we all deserve to be loved, planet Earth, each individual human on this planet. Anyway, after all these decades of struggle, I'm seeing it starting to manifest now, right before my eyes, to the point I almost can't believe it. It's like, where were you 4 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago? Where were you 20 years ago? Where were you 30 and 40 years ago? It's so strange how this is only manifested now. But it was prophesied to me that it would be like that things, if I survived this long, things would not, manifest until I'm 60. Or they actually said quite specifically, and I kind of have to giggle about that, in your 60th year, which I'm in because I'm 59. Well, anyway, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the love shown to me and for the protection, by the way, especially when I do lose my bottle occasionally. And I'm grateful for the support. I'm grateful for the compassion, and I'm grateful for the friendship, and I'm grateful for the camaraderie, and I'm grateful for the joy and the laughter we share and the mischief occasionally. And I'm grateful for the deep eye contact and soul-nourishing respect. I'm grateful for all of it, all of it, all of it. Anyway, let's carry on reading. I went to explain what I meant by mana and wine and my Catholic neighbour. And here I write, divine, blech. It's all bollocking bullshit, innit? This life, this quest, this longing for love and family and partnership and community and sensate sensual bliss. I'm stuck in a virtual reality and a program, and I scream and shout and stamp my feet, but no one hears, sees, feels, or even wants me. That's no longer holds true, but that's where I was at in 2018. We were at. Yes. All good. Been here a million times. I will rant and rave and rage against the ghost and the machine. I still believe, for I still believe I have worth and merit and meaning and honour and integrity and a tribe who understand whom I am becoming and the tangled path that led me to this point. In brackets, even the smallest person can change the fate of the world. I am small, short, financially stunted, often munted, stymied, atrophied, but I am alive, aware, awake. I matter. I am nothing and no one, and in that paradox, I am everything and everyone, and a tiny seed of all that is, was, ever shall be, as are we all. Then I wrote copyright Tanya Desiree Aarons and hashtags underneath it, Screaming Mimi, Psychedelic Dreamer, Mama T, the Tanya, the Desired One. 1st of July 2017. I need a drink of water, babies. Need a drink of water. We better plough through because we're already at 2 hours and 29 minutes. I've gone on a bit today, haven't I? Wow, it is what it is. I have lost a filling in my back molar. No pain as yet, but it is weird that I should be losing yet another tooth. Oh well, back to the QE2 dentist I go. I've had a few weird, enlightening epiphanies today too. Life is surely gifting me with many blessings and much releasing of old dead loves. Told you 2017 was a good year for me. My zombie aspect holds close to dead loves, nurtured them from my dried out breast and broken heart. Feeds and feeds and bleeds her soul into 1,000 paradigms, silently screaming into the void. False superficial friends exist as reminders of my existential angst. Thank you to Kelly Ann who reached out to me this morning, a fellow compatriot of pain inflicted by blood-curdling, mindless, sadistic ghouls fleshed out as lovers or family and former husbands. She comforted and reminded me that I am loved, valued and valuable, that my life for what it's worth has worth, and my struggles to find real enduring love with authentic people are meritorious. We walk down the same road beset by bad plumbing and abysses of such pure hell that we climb from every cesspit and every gravel-rashed open grave, and we fly in the face of our own fury and desire for peace, justice and freedom. Love me or leave me, uphold me or sully me. I am whom I am, and I offer no excuses for that triumphant, strident homecoming. Old friends have acted strange and abandoned me. Voyeurs that stalked me in the Brisbane CBD nightlife now hide and snidely, contemptuously debase me. Hell, Hashem even flushed out an old enemy in the child sexual abuse forums. I wonder how much healing of putrid, ancient wounds that festered underground in my soul I will be forced by the truculent fates to endure. When will Lady Luck and the goddess of love enrich and ennoble me with my long-desired reward? If not in this lifetime, then when? When can I pass from this soporific dream and find my locus and my lotus? When will the gods gently let me go and let me flow into a beatific oblivion? Never, or just for today, in an eternal, accursed nows. Remember, this was written in 2018 and I nearly died the following year. I am loved, truly, deeply, faithfully, by non-humans. That is my greatest blessing. P.S. I finished watching Bokeh about life after ascension for 2 survivors in Iceland. The irony was not lost on me. My gods and angels send me succor in unusual ways and often strange places. I need to trust in them who wisely know my true mission on this earth even if I am still confounded by it. Is that what that movie was on about, lol? I watched it the other night, but had no idea what the fuck it was all about till you just mentioned life after ascension. Oh dearie me, that is sad. Its meaning was entirely lost upon me, lol. Funny, she continues on, I still haven't fixed my tooth either. Really don't want to go. At the moment, the pain is something I can endure because all my other pains worry me so much more. Thank you also for this morning's chat. You are always a pleasure to chat with. I hope things improve soon for you. It's a bit of a rough, unsealed, bumpy old road through life for us. Good suspension and tough chassis are essential. And I send much love and kisses out to you, Kellyanne. I don't know where you are, if you're still alive. I can't get hold of you on Facebook, but wherever you are in the space-time continuum, in whatever place on planet Earth you are, or whether you've ascended and are in the next dimension, I've preserved all our messaging here and the love you show towards me and your true friendship, and you are much valued and much loved and always remembered with deep honour, my darling girl. July 1st, 2016. The Tulip, aka Case, or his real name was Cornelis van der Graft, would be pleased. Waste not, want not. They screwed me out of my inheritance twice over. Well, actually, technically 3 times over, because my mother stole the land in Waiheke Island from me too when I was 14 or 15. Enabled or actively abused me. But I still got your clogs. Lol. Instead of houses, I've random trinkets lying about the place, slowly rotting. But at least I reuse and recycle and am reborn from the ashes of my childhood, 20s, 30s and 40s. Besides, the heart-shaped anthuriums will look very nice when they flower, and heart is all I have left. Heart, broken, duct-taped, glued and varnished, thrown out there, slammed back in my chest like a bad game of pilote. Oh well, such is life. Here's the Dutch clogs, which I did renovate. They were newly renovated in that photo, but I've noticed they're cracking, and I'm going to need to try and fill them up and repaint them again and preserve them for a bit longer. I don't even know why. I'm not even Dutch, and my Dutch stepfather was by and large an arsehole to me, but I guess I'm preserving. What am I preserving? Memory, history, culture, honouring the ancestors, that some of those don't need honouring. I'll think about it. Maybe when they finally break apart, it'll be another residue from that family of origin that I can just let go and let float away. Looking a bit messy, but they are growing new pups, so it will fill in by summer, I hope. My heliconias, which did indeed fill in that space and look quite wonderful. That and the bromeliads. I'm going to need to get a drink, my God. Really struggling. Back inside from the garden, I also pruned my gardenia, night-scented jessamine and cardamom. The front garden looks almost civilised now. I moved the aloe vera right up the back corner near the banksia, so I think I'm done for today. I just made a cup of tea, washed off the garden dirt and time to rest, methinks. My arms are very sore from the hives. Welts from bromeliad spines, bloody allergic. Just put vinegar on my arms and it hurt like 1,000 razor blades. This is how very sensitive I am, by the way. But clearly have a reaction to bromeliad spines. My skin all bloated up. I look like crepe paper there. Here I post a meme. A snake can shed its skin, but it will always be a snake. Remember that before allowing people back into your life. Not wise. They've been a snake to you once. Never let the motherfuckers back in again, babies. Learn, discern, move on, choose life, choose great and powerful, authentic loves, choose joy and happiness and healing. Choose yourself too. Here I write, yes, David Davidson and I are both snakes in Chinese astrology. It used to be intense when we were alone in a room together, both Aries, both snakes, both Jews. I converted and his mother had also converted. Both intelligent, both artistic, except that he was a very charismatic narcopath, homeopath, psychopath I used to call him, and I was always a charismatic survivor. Sorry, I just saw something move out the corner of my eye, and it's like interesting that should happen when I'm mentioning that prick. But anyway, it is what it is. He can't get into my house. I've got wards up everywhere and he's not invited. Don't invite evil in, by the way. You have the power. He was easily manipulated by my mother and Buck Shearer. In the beginning, he thought my trauma was unfounded and called me paranoid. This is what a bastard he was. He was playing, what was the word for it? Pot psychologist, or playing at being a psychologist. Yes, he was trained as a homeopath, but they're not trained psychologists usually. So he was trying to psychoanalyze me when he knew nothing about child sexual abuse or the traumas I'd endured. He was a fuckknuckle. As soon as I realised that he was a fuckknuckle, I turned the tables on him. Told him so to his face, what level of fuckknuckle he really was. Don't play at psychiatry when you haven't got a fucking clue, by the way. That's dangerous and moronic. And did I mention dangerous? Called me paranoid, me. Sometimes I admit, like I did in a video, that I was a bit paranoid about that cop waiting next to my car because it was weird. I'll admit when I get paranoid. But at that point in time, I was not paranoid. I was under full-blown attack on a daily basis for 18 months by fucking maniacs that were threatening me and my 2 little girls. There was nothing paranoid about it. It was very, very real and life-threatening and destabilising, which was their aim, by the way. Then I found out my mother and Buck were behind it as well. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that did to me? So anyway, here I write, they made him jump through their fiery little circles like an Israeli lapdog, and even when I was able to prove to him time and again that he was being used, and I put in brackets, and bought and paid for, which I suspect he was, I did accuse him of that too. Then finally his ego was able to admit that he had been poisoned and lied to about me. But he still chose Kylie. No man wants a broken, impoverished, crazed woman with children who has a trail of enemies surrounding her. Men choose pretty, effortless, malleable, wealthy young things with supportive, loving families to back them up. Ha ha ha. But Hashem did me a favour. If David Davidson had chosen me, if I had had another pregnancy, the benign cancer they found on my defunct womb 7 years ago would have bloomed and I would have died all those years ago. So I was kept alive for this season of loneliness, but joy. This season of freedom and triumph over my oppressors. This season of the great karmic sword of Damocles slashing its way into balance again, leaving no enemy unscathed. Terrifying, majestic, magical is my God, who saved me from hellish people, even those of my own blood, incestuous stepfathers and or godfathers, and my own weak, vicious father, who even tried to convince David Davidson to choose me, as he knew my love was real and a force to be reckoned with. It was unusual for my father to actually do that, by the way. Very unusual. He spent much of his time trying to undermine my marriage with my only husband, my own father, in the most dishonouring, disrespectful ways, by the way. So I was surprised when he was keen on David Davidson being my partner. Thought, here we go, more manipulation, more evil. I was proved to be right too, unfortunately. I didn't want to be right. I really didn't. I was so in love with that man. But anyway, it is what it is. All these years later, 24 years later now, I deserve to be loved and in love with a man who loves me back kindly and sincerely and genuinely and deliciously and gorgeously. I do deserve that much. I really do. I'm a good person and I'm a loving person and I'm no longer surrounded by train wrecks of hell. I'm clean and clear. I'm on my own, but I don't have any more foul-feeted, destructive enemies around me. I don't think so anyway. I've cleaned my house. So what I bring to the table if I come into a relationship with you is zero toxicity. There's only one way there will be toxicity, is if the other person has people around him that bring that to me. And then I'll walk away. I'll have to walk away, unfortunately. But what I've been shown in the past 10 months is that I've been included and welcomed and even feted and loved and respected by, everyone in that environment, and that's the signs that show me that I am valued and cherished and cared for, even if it only ever remains a platonic friendship because of the circumstances. That was what I was needing to see, people, that I'm no longer living in a fucking hellscape and a viper's nest like I was back in with my own family of origin, by the way, enabling all of it back in, 2000, 2001. It was 2000, end of 2001 when I actually escaped that house in Loganlea and moved here to Holland Park and got away from all those fucking animals, by the way. So 2001, I've lived in this house since 2003, in May 2003 to 2024, 21 years it's taken me to heal from all of that and to begin again fresh, clean and clear, fresh, excited about my future for the first time in my life. I'm excited about my future with the silversmithing hobby and, just being surrounded by people who value me and love me and have fought hard to keep me here, like my doctor and Lynn and Jared. And, I'm so fucking blessed and happy, And when I have moments when I slip back into the abyss and I'm not happy, it's just a short period of time now. I pull myself out of it because I've shucked off the albatross and I've shucked off the snakes and I've shucked off the demons, and when they try to reattach, I'm just like, as my mother would say in German, weg damit, like, just get away with you. Have I got a parcel arriving already? No. It's a delivery van, but it's too early. I'm waiting on my ultrasonic cleaner, but it won't arrive straight away today. Might, but I doubt it. But anyway, I'll continue reading because we're up to nearly 3 hours, bejesus. Where were we? Yeah, my father trying to convince David Davidson to take me on because he knew how much I loved him at that point in time and the space-time continuum when I was still trying to find my true love partnership and heal my life and have a beautiful life with a man who adores me, which is basically a human right for everyone on the planet to have true love in their life if you can manifest it. So here I am 16 years later, and time created the distance and safety and even hope I desperately needed. The only way to win the games of the psychopathic is not to play. So still they came, knocking on the Tanya, aka Psychedelic Dreamer's door. I told him he would beg me for forgiveness one day. I release him and those who supported and enabled him into the light of God, into the light, for God is the true judge and I am not responsible for his karma. And by the way, it came as a great shock that when he manifested at my door, banging on the door, stomping his boots up my front steps, that was metaphorically him begging for my forgiveness. Kept it up for 4 nights, by the way. So I knew he would have massive regrets one day. I just didn't know that it would be at the time when he was doing his life review and transitioning. That was a great shock for both him and for me. He underestimated my power as a spirit, though. He really did. All that viciousness he did towards me, which had a bad effect on my children, has to be rectified. Had to be rectified. But, my daughters have their trauma issues left from all of that ugliness, so that's why I choose not to forgive, by the way. 1st of July 2015. Today has been a distressing day. I've done all I can. It would be nice if people would quit victimising me. My conscience is clear. The proof is in the pudding. That will relate to all the bullshit that happened at Irish Murphys, I think. I posted some photos of my cats, but all snuggled up on my bed, but frankly they're not great photos. I won't bother unhooking the phone and turning them to you. 1st of July 2000, also I'm getting tired. 1st of July 2014, another paedophile bites the dust. Rolf Harris. I used to be a fan as a child. Sickening. Glad justice has been served for his victims. Actually came as quite a shock. I didn't think he was like that at all. Just shows you can't tell. You can't tell what a pedophile looks like by their looks. And they come from all aspects of society, and you just sometimes would never suspect. 1st of July 2013. I did most of the dishes. Epic. Hung out washing in the wind and rain and loved the fresh wildness, but worried about my health, so scurried inside. I'm told weather will fine up tomorrow, so perhaps my washing will dry. I also made a huge pot of pumpkin soup. Yum. I feel a bit weary from my sudden surge of activity. Just woke up to another wet Monday. Blech. Oh well, good for the garden, even if it does give the roses black spot, lol. I'm still getting a few blooms. Thinking about it, I need to prune back that climbing rose. It's time of year when we should be pruning them, isn't it? But they've struggled so hard to stay alive, I don't feel like hacking into them. Let them live as they are. It's not like they're big, vigorous bushes. 1st of July 2012. Penny Puss. Oh, bless. I have to show you this photo because it's a good one and she's just so beautiful. My little girl. My little girl. We had a deep soul connection, that cat and I. She was there for me when no other mortal was. My other angel who is greatly missed indeed. Bella in the flesh. My other little angel. Bella Rosa Aarons. Named beautiful red. Okay, banana bread is in the oven. Estimated day of arrival is 20 more minutes. Can't wait. Nom nom nom. This will not be so funny in a week or two when I'm forced to confront the reality that I've gained a few more kilos. Meanwhile, death by carbs is so much fun. You know, the interesting thing is I didn't put on weight. I might actually bake some more banana bread, and it was nice to have it in the freezer and just take it out for breakfast, a slice or two each morning. It was really yummy. I might do that again. I didn't put on weight. I don't even care that much about my weight. I don't even know why I was going on about that. Every now and then I have these like kind of freakouts like, oh, I'm going to die because I'm fat and all this bullshit. And you know what? I haven't died. I've always been overweight. Since I was 14, I started piling on the weight as a self-protection thing. Even my psychiatrist said it's your Bodhisattva persona, making sure you're well padded so that you can heft men over your shoulder and, you know, go into full fight or flight mode and protect yourself. He said, that's why you're well padded, Tanya. He said, I worked it out ages ago. We just laughed at each other. I went, is that what I've been doing all this time? I thought it was just that I like too much chocolate. But anyway, there's method in my madness. There truly is. Not so mad after all. July 1st, 2011. Kumquat marmalade is made and placed in jars. I need to do that again. I've got a nice crop of kumquats out there. Just waiting for it to cool down. Tastes yum. I still have quite a lot of fruit on the tree, so I might have to make more jam, lol. July 1st, 2010. Instead of cleaning house today, I used to do that a lot. I fertilised all my bulbs and made shade cloth pouches with sphagnum moss for my orchids growing on the outside of the pots, which looked decidedly dry and sort of dying off. Ho-hum. The battle of the dishes, floors, etc. wins again. Let you know when I get scabies or something. The garden looks great and the galahs sing happy songs while munching. Yeah, it was... Yeah, the few months after my mother's death, I just did not want to be in the house. I did not want to do housework. I was just out in the garden every moment of every day, living wild and free. It was a weird manifestation of grief after her death too. It was it wasn't in a fugue state like when Case died, but I was a fucking mess actually. I was in a state. It's weird how your enemies that raise you and that were so abusive and horrible, how you grieve them even more powerfully and intensely than loving family members. It's really fucking weird. Got the little lorikeets visiting, their tails hanging over the guttering. Judging by the way the tail keeps going up and down, they're drinking water out of the guttering. July 1st, 2009. True prosperity is having all your dreams come true and not even realising it. Yes, it is, baby girl. Here I write, gosh, after 15 years, I have rediscovered the delights of an electric blanket and a car horn. I wonder what other necessary domestic delights I will realise I've been missing all these years will come to light. I'm thinking either a George or a sandwich maker. By George, I meant there was this George Foreman thing that was like a grill. I didn't mean a person named George, I meant a grill. Just wanted to clarify that because I had my friend George at the casino, but I didn't meet him till I started dancing there around about 2011, I think it was. So yes, we were just friends, nothing romantic. I have found my favourite business, Kandahar in Woodridge. I'm so thrilled. I've been looking for that shop for 10 years. Oh, and Courtney, which was my ex-boyfriend at the time, was then he was my boyfriend, fixed my air horn so I can beep people to let them know I'm coming through and stop them from reversing into me. And at long last, at 3 hours and 3 minutes, and I'm feeling dizzy and faint, thus concludes today's readings and meanderings and musings of even date. And have a beautiful day wherever you are in the space-time continuum. And much love from Titania's realm at Sacred Space. Bye for now.